Bada boop boop. Greetings from Madame Fluttery. So, I just looked at week 3 of Madame Fluttery, and now I'm getting clearer and clearer what she really is about. And I have said previously that Madame Fluttery doesn't have a message, she is the message. So I want to drill a little bit more into this because it, for some reason, became really clear to me looking back at the material of week 3. And I was thinking, Madame Fluttery does not edit herself at all. And that's what's so delightful. She is very much in the moment, and she is anything but stoic. Which means if she is enthusiastic, she is enthusiastic. And if she is upset or anxious, she's anxious, and she's not holding it back. There is this moment where I was, as Anya, driving to Lagos, and I wanted to do a Madame Fluttery in Lagos. And I'm in Lagos and I realized I didn't take my mobile phone with me, which, you know, I'm usually not that forgetful, but Madame Fluttery somehow would get me into these, more often into these situations where I would forget things, mainly the mobile phone to film her with, which is kind of an irony in and of itself. But I, you know, like, I felt a little bit uncomfortable because I have also an old car, and I thought, oh shit, I mean, Lagos isn't so far away, but I thought like, oh, now I can't neither do Madame Fluttery in Lagos, but I also, if something happened, I don't have, like, you know, my mind was going into that direction. And then I drove back and knew I still had to do Madame Fluttery, you know, like because I committed to doing her every day. So, of course, not of course, but that's what I did. I took that whole thing and let her chatter about it, which is maybe also a little bit a new thing that appeared between week 2 and 3, that she would chatter more, that the flutter would come into how she was talking, chatter about things. And so she was just, like, I would call it a blurting out, you know, that she was in Lagos and that she had forgotten it, and what if something would have happened with the car, and then she kind of very naturally calmed herself down again and said like, it's gonna be fine, it's gonna be fine. And then she jumped on to another thing, and I felt, for me as Anya, and also while playing the character, it felt very freeing, and it felt like that maybe the lightness we so much search for sometimes comes from being less stoic and just allowing ourselves to express what's there. But I think we are so scared of being seen as, I mean, women have been viewed as hysterical, which is awful, you know, like the judgments we get from the outside, which is an interesting point because I want to get to another clip that was the same week where I was letting her dance, and that dance was very different to the usual dance videos I do that are also edited, even though I improvise the dance. But because the premise with her going in with Madame Fluttery has been from the start that I would do only one take and that I wouldn't edit. I did edit with Dr. Anya from the challenge the year before, and I had also clear ideas with Dr. Anya, still, you know, improvised within the structure, but because she had to get to a point, and because Madame Fluttery was about the butterfly that goes here, goes there, goes everywhere, I felt like that it wouldn't work that way, that I needed to kind of maybe know what place like I wanted to go to, but that's about it. And so it was very much freer, and in the sense of that she was really only just in the moment and being who she was, but there wasn't maybe a hook or something like that. I will come back to that in a minute, but I just want to get back to the dance video. So that clip got more views just because it was Bee Gees staying alive, you know, and she kind of like did very quirky, unsophisticated movements, you know. They were just like, she was kind of having real fun, but it was just like quirky, and I thought like I deleted that comment because I don't want anyone to be traumatized to watch my, but wasn't it interesting that especially to this dance someone commented mental health issues everywhere, and that is maybe the thing, you know, we kind of have become so, most of us, and for some of us it has resulted maybe even in illness, you know, in chronic illness. We have so much learned to be this accepted, you know, like whatever we think is being accepted, the stoic, holding everything together kind of person, because we don't want to deal with those judgments of if we were being more in the moment, if we were more expressive, if we would share our frustrations in the moment, or whatever it is, like if we just wouldn't hold back so much. So I think that in a way, Madame Fluttery is giving permission to really express what's there in the moment and just get it out and then move on. You know, because that's what I felt with her as well, that it wouldn't stick around for a long time. She would kind of go into this and then she would fly to the next thing and say, and now we do this, and I thought like this is what brought the lightness for me. Wasn't like what toxic positivity does. Is like that everything has to be seen as positive and and I didn't feel that she was doing that. I felt more, it's like, be really in the here and now, express it and let it flow through you, and then the next thing. And that's for me what brought that feeling of lightness, and what I think makes her as a character so delightful. And then another thing that's going back to the hooking people and stuff, like I think that we live more and more, both online and offline, in a very artificial world. And online, of course, you know, and that's maybe so funny because she is calling herself a content creator, and she's doing the opposite of what you're supposed to do. She doesn't have a hook. She doesn't perform, you know, she doesn't have a story. She basically is just kind of living a moment that she's sharing with you, and she doesn't need to make herself more interesting or anything. She's just being. And maybe this is what I take from the whole, you know, animal realm. And she's, after all, a butterfly, that they, of course, they don't perform. They are just in the moment. They don't bother whether they are interesting to other people or not. They just are. And that's maybe what we still can learn from that, because I sometimes am very worried about when I look at, like, there is a difference between content creator and being an artist, for example, in my opinion, because if you are mainly a content creator, there's just that danger that you're trying to find out what people find interesting, and you're only creating for others. And I think this is, of course, depending on what you want, but for those people of us who need to be more centered within themselves and be able to create for creation self and for expression, this is like the worst thing you ever could be doing, because you kind of like, you're already trying to find out who you are and not who away from who you're supposed to be. And so the more you go there and the supposed to be, no matter how successful you are, you're completely losing who you really are. And that can't be the price we are paying. So that's what I think, you know. And so it does make me sad sometimes when I look at how highly edited everything is online, you know, fast cuts, boom, 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 being only shown in the most, whatever, like very clear on what light you want to be seen in and what you want to transport. And like, I don't know, I feel like everything is getting, like, yes, doesn't mean that it isn't beautiful, but at the same time, it's kind of like more and more artificial and edited, yes. And I feel if that would be only online, fine. But I think the problem is that this is what we see offline too, that we kind of become these surface people, I don't know how to other call it, who then end up with all these well, some of us at least, with the chronic illnesses. But yeah, where like everything is like 90% is underneath the surface, and we just run around like as if we had it all together and smiling because this is the only thing that is accepted, isn't it? It's not accepted to say, oh God, you know, like I got really worried because I didn't have my phone, da 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 da. It's not accepted. And so I think it that's why we become more and more edited versions of ourselves that kind of takes a lot of energy to keep up because you have to lock so many things away. So I think Madame Fluttery's lightness comes from that she is not holding things together and she's not holding back. And that's what's so much fun about it. Yes. Yeah, this is Anja. I'm a performer, improviser, actress, artist, writer, and creative coach. Bye-bye.